the notebooks opened on the New Year's table. Outside, the snow was falling with a silence worthy of New Year's Eve. The city lights reflected off the snow, and the streets seemed to witness a moment where time had stopped. But inside the small apartment on the fifth floor, a storm was gathering, one no one could yet see. Tonight would not be an ordinary New Year's Eve. Tonight, truths that had been buried for years would finally be placed in the middle of the table. Chapter 1. Preparation. Emma was working meticulously in the kitchen. She adjusted the table, polished the cutlery, and straightened the napkins again and again. Her tension was visible on her face, though she tried not to disturb anyone. This New Year's Eve, she was hosting her family in her home for the first time. Everything had to be under control, or at least it had to look that way. Her husband, Mark, sat on the couch watching the TV, but his attention wasn't on the screen. His mind was far away, wandering in a dark place. Upstairs, the children were getting ready. Lily, 20 years old, deep-eyed, withdrawn, and Ethan, only 14, silently absorbing every crack he had seen in this house. Chapter 2. The guests arrive. At 8:50 p.m., the doorbell rang. Emma took a deep breath. "It's starting," she whispered. When she opened the door, her mother, Grace, and father Daniel stepped inside, followed by Emma's younger brother Mason and his wife Olivia. Everyone hugged, greeted each other, and placed their gifts under the tree. But Emma noticed Mason's glance at Lily. There was something in that look. Unspoken, hidden, old. Lily immediately turned her eyes away, and something uneasy stirred in Emma's chest. Chapter 3. The dinner table. When they sat at the dinner table, everyone tried to act as if there was New Year's cheer in the room. Grace praised the food. Daniel asked his grandchildren about school. Olivia nervously swapped her husband's drink. Mason's hands were trembling. His eyes kept drifting toward Lily. Lily kept her gaze fixed on her plate, struggling even to breathe. Mark noticed Mason's uneasiness. "Is something wrong?" he asked. Mason smiled, but the smile vanished instantly like a shadow crossing his face. "No, just tired." No one believed that. But no one spoke either. The silence at the table felt like a scream, hidden beneath the soft New Year's music. Chapter 4. The first secret explodes. At 9:44 p.m., Daniel raised his glass. "To my daughter Emma. Thank you for preparing this wonderful night." Everyone smiled. Perhaps things had finally begun to ease. Until Lily began to speak. She set her glass down, clasped her hands. Her eyes glistened with tears. "I need to say something," she said. The table went silent. Everyone held their breath. Lily looked at Mark. "Dad, I've felt you growing distant from me for years, and I kept wondering why. Then, this summer, I accidentally found an email." Emma froze. "Lily, no," she whispered, but her voice went unheard. Lily continued. "That email was written to Mason." Mason went pale. Olivia looked away from her husband. "In the email, you wrote that Mason had a relationship when he was young, and that a baby was born from it." Mark's heart nearly stopped. Lily's voice cracked. "I'm that baby. Mason is my real father." No one moved. Only the ticking of the wall clock filled the room. Chapter 5. The family collapses. Emma shot to her feet. "Lily, where did you get that?" Lily cried harder. "I found the truth, Mom. The letter was open. Everything you wrote was right there." Grace held her head in her hands. Daniel struggled to breathe. Mark had sunk into the deepest silence of his life. "Mason," he said with a trembling voice. Is this true? Mason looked at Emma. I didn't know anything. Olivia touched Mason's arm, her eyes filled with tears. I knew, she whispered. But I couldn't tell you. The table had turned into a wreckage. Chapter 6. The second big secret. Lily wiped her tears. That's not all. Mark raised his head. Lily, stop. That's enough. No, Dad, Lily said. This involves you. Emma's face went blank. You knew you weren't my real father, didn't you? Mark's eyes widened. Lily continued. Because I found the medical reports. Mum wrote that you couldn't have children. In that moment, everything inside Mark shattered. Years of silent pain spilled into the open with a single sentence. Chapter 7. Grace's Secret. Just as the room fell breathless, Grace slid her chair forward. I also have something to say. Her eyes turned to Emma. Emma? Years ago, I did something to protect you. Emma shook her head. Mom, please. Grace exhaled heavily. Mason isn't Emma's first child. A wave of shock hit the table. When she was young, Emma gave birth to a baby girl, but because of family pressure, we gave that baby up for adoption. Lily's breath caught. I have an older sister? Grace lowered her head. Yes, Emma screamed. How could you do that to me? Grace cried. I was trying to protect you, but no one believed those words anymore. Chapter 8. Mark's Confession. Mark gripped the edge of the table. There's something I need to say too? Everyone turned to him. When Emma got pregnant, I didn't think Mason was the father. Emma froze. Mark's voice trembled. Because back then, Emma and I were together too? Mason's eyes widened. Olivia burst into tears, and Emma whispered, I didn't know whose baby it was. The silence that followed was devastating. Chapter 9. Midnight. At exactly midnight, fireworks exploded outside. The sky lit up with colors. But inside this home, no one said Happy New Year. No glasses clinked. No one embraced. Emma hid in the kitchen. Mark cried quietly on the couch. Mason stared into nothingness. Olivia trembled silently. Grace sat like she was praying. Ethan clung to his sister, and Lily was on her knees, trying to understand who she really was. Chapter 10. Tragic ending. New Year's Eve was ending. No one in the house had the strength to speak. Lily quietly took her coat, walked to the door. Emma came out of the kitchen and saw her. Lily, where are you going? Lily touched the doorknob. Tears streamed silently down her face. Mum, I don't know who I am anymore. Am I your daughter? Whose child am I? Why didn't anyone choose me? Why did everyone hide me? Emma reached out. Lily, please don't go. But Lily stepped back. This house raised me on lies. I can't breathe here anymore. She opened the door. The cold wind hit her face. Emma fell to her knees. Lily, what will I do without you? Lily looked at her one last time. Mom, you made me this way. These secrets. Don't let me stay under the same roof with you. And she closed the door. She left quietly. Ethan tried to run after her, but Mark held him back. Emma collapsed under the New Year's lights in the hallway. Her hands trembled. Her voice was gone. Lily, my baby, please. But there was no answer. That New Year's Eve, Emma lost her daughter, and Lily was never the same again. That night, a family fell apart. Some secrets don't heal when spoken. Sometimes they only leave ashes behind. Final, integrated subscribe message. Thank you for listening to this story with me until the very end. If what you felt spoke to you, if this journey reminded you of something in your own heart, please subscribe to the channel and join us. Every story here is told to touch the voice of a lonely soul. Be with us, and let's share even more together. Thank you.